Okay, I think we're going to begin. We started out with a roll call on the pledge and then went into executive session, but I'd like to welcome everyone to the RSU 14 Windham-Raymond School District Board of Directors meeting. Today is Wednesday, September 6, 2023, and we are in the Windham High School auditorium. We have come out of executive session. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the student under consideration be readmitted to school and that superintendent provides the parents with a written summary of the board's findings.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you very much. The student has been readmitted. We're going to move into public input. Anyone who would like to speak, I will have you come forward after I give a little outline of the parameters for public comment. The purpose of public comment is to provide an opportunity to address the board on matters specific to our schools and educational matters. All other comments beyond that scope are not appropriate for this meeting. The board will listen carefully to all members of the public but will not respond. Speakers are expected to follow rules of common decency and decorum. Interrupting any speaker or board member during commentary is not allowed. We ask that all speakers address the board, not the audience. Each person will be permitted to address the board one time during public comment with a maximum speaking time of 3 minutes. Sharing time with another speaker is not permitted. I will alert the speaker at the 3-minute mark. If speakers do not complete their comments within the allotted 3 minutes, they may submit a written statement to the board. Written statements are also accepted from those who do not wish to speak publicly. Requests for information or concerns that require further research will be noted and referred to the superintendent for further action if necessary. Discussions of matters involving individual students is not permitted during public comment due to the privacy, confidentiality, and due process rights of any RSU 14 student. Comments regarding any individual staff, either by name or specifically identifiable by position, are also not permitted. If the comment continues, the mic will be turned off. Complaints about any district employee should follow the process outlined in policy KEB, public complaints about school personnel, and are not permitted during public comment. We ask that adults share their first and last name and the town that they reside in when they come up to the microphone. Students are only required to share their first name. Thank you for joining us this evening, and we look forward to hearing from you. Is there anyone who would like to speak?
Good evening. My name is Alyssa Messer. I'm from Raymond. I'm going to talk about transportation. A few years ago, I approached the board after a frightening experience on the Egypt Road in Raymond involving a child and an irresponsible driver. I'm really appreciative of the sense of urgency that the school board had at the time concerning not only that incident that night, but unknowingly another parent from Windham that night shared an experience at the same time that they had had in Windham of a student nearly being hit by a passing car on a bus as well. The result of that evening was an incredible teamwork of parents, students, businesses, and supportive superintendent and board who put lengthening arms of stop signs on the school buses and even changed a particular route in Raymond to help prevent a child from crossing over the road on a highly traveled and lowly visible road to find safety. Tonight I'm here because we've witnessed too many occasions of drivers literally driving off the pavement on 302 to go around the bus that my child rides off the pavement, not just one car, but 6 at a time to pass Sissy's bus to get around those arms on multiple occasions. There was a second situation towards the end of the school year where a school bus was stopped and a car passed on the right-hand side where the child exits. Skid marks were photographed. Businesses were seen and saw the vehicle. I spoke with several of the bus drivers to seek their opinions, and talked with the local sheriff about changing the speed limit on the stretch of road from Casco into where the Raymond Beach is, about why that is at the speed limit is, because it has been changed in Casco. Apparently it takes an act of Congress, which I'm willing to do. I came before you tonight respectfully to let you know that I am currently working on that, because that is a different area than what is your area. But I wanted to let you know that I am working to get the data with the Sheriff's Department and get that information to start that process to move forward. I wanted to keep you in the loop, and also wanting to work with you and whoever that might be, and so that we can work as a team again to accomplish something successful to keep our students safe. So I just wanted to come again, like I said, respectfully designed to work with the RSU board and the superintendent to keep that data moving together as a team if you so desire. I can give my information and so forth as I get that information. It will take some time and act of Congress, but we'll make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to close public comment. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Howell.
Sure. So first of all, Alyssa, thanks for coming tonight and talking about that. I know the exact incident that you're talking about. Had a chance to watch the videotape and have a chance to also spend some time with that driver, just getting a better understanding. Maine Department of Transportation ultimately controls the speed limit, and more than happy to write a letter on behalf of the RSU and student safety on any speed limit changes within that location. So if we can help out with that, definitely want to do that. And I'm sure Aaron and Sharon have data and other things that they can share from that particular stretch as we look to be able to make a case for that change. A couple of things I want to share tonight. First of all, I want to welcome Lillian Nugent, who's beside me, who's going to be our student rep this year. It's great to have her here, and great to have her have the opportunity to share a good student perspective, what's happening here at Windham High School, and just what are some of the things that are happening within clubs and activities and issues that are being brought up by our students. So I want to officially welcome you. I know you were away for some summer camps when the board was starting their work in August, and so it's nice to officially seat you here tonight as part of our meeting. Last week we had opening day here in the auditorium. It's the one time of the year where we actually get to have all of our staff in one place. And first of all, it's a great opportunity to build some community and to do a kickoff for the start of the school year. We had a chance to hear from Windham Chamber Singers, and what's always kind of fun about that concert is that often that's the first time they're actually getting together and doing their first performance, and the kids just knocked it out of the park. Also, just want to mention for board members, we received notification today for the Chamber Singers that the annual Maine School Board's Maine School Management Conference that happens in October, the Windham Chamber Singers will be singing at that event. It's the 50th anniversary of that conference, and so they have been booked for the Thursday lunch. So if any of you have a chance to participate and go to that conference this year, it's nice that we get to celebrate the kids from Windham and Raymond at that event. But also opening day, Kate did a wonderful job welcoming the staff and having an opportunity. Also PTA, PTO, it was nice to have a welcome and have that addition and to be able to hear their outlook for the year and then things that they also want to do. I had a chance to share district goals, which were number one, we're going to continue to work on our instructional framework and our instructional strategies so that we can be the absolute best instructors that we can in the classroom. And then also a secondary goal, which is so relevant in the times that we're in for employment and also for making sure that we're addressing the needs of students, making sure that our staff and our student feel engaged and connected to our institution. And really my message on opening day, beyond a really cool video that at some point I'll share the link with all of you, but my message for the day is that as educators and actually as the individuals working with students, we need to make every single day, every single moment that kids have as special as possible, because for many kids it's their first time through. Remind them that moment and how important that it is, and that also as a public educator you can really make a big difference in the life of a student. So it's an opportunity to do that. We also had the opportunity to recognize longevity within the district. and then also a chance to welcome all of our new staff members from across the district. And so it's just a great opportunity, great way to kick off. And of course, after a miserable summer of weather, we get the most beautiful weekend of the year on Labor Day weekend, and then we go into a little minor heat wave starting the school year. So it's been hot. There's no question about it that it's been hot. The investment that you as a board made at Manchester School for climate control has been greatly appreciated. And just a reminder for the public, that was one of the ways that RSU 14 used COVID relief money to do a long-term investment on air quality. Raymond Elementary School is next summer's project. And for those of you who drive by RES, you notice three-phase power has been brought to that building, so now we have that ability to be able to run that. And next year at this time, RES will be the next one on board. And so then as far as climate control, well, middle level, Jordan Small Window Middle, have to wait till the new school before that has an opportunity to happen. But big thank you to Bill and all the custodians who've been coming in early, trying to get fans in the windows, trying to solve heating and air conditioning issues. I know some of the classrooms that aren't air conditioned have those portable units, and staff have been working really, really hard to maintain a real positive focus with kids when it's been hot. And you probably saw through, I think, the message I sent out yesterday, our athletic, between Rich and our trainer, Casey, have been paying attention to the heat index and making sure that we're following all the MPA guidelines for outdoor activities to make sure that those activities are staying as safe as possible. Next Wednesday, Bill Hanson and I will have a chance to meet with the state school board, and that's the final approval that's required in the state of Maine in the construction project. And for board, that approval, should we get it next week, will release $131.8 million of state subsidy towards a new middle school. And I don't know if you caught in the paper this past week, Scarborough announced that there was some discussion in Scarborough. I didn't get a chance to follow up of their town council looking to put a new elementary school on the ballot, which was $161 million for the local elementary school, which will be locally paid. And so I know that that bond question will be happening similar to a time as when ours will be happening. But next Wednesday is a big date for us. If we pass that hurdle, and I'm confident that we will, that then releases that to then go to referendum for approval by the voters to accept that gift from the state of Maine for that portion of the project. And then finally, next Thursday, the middle school construction committee is going to be getting together after that vote, and we'll be looking at our awareness campaign, looking to get the publicity out, informing the public in both communities, and then also planning some community forums, one of which will be on October 17th here in the Wyndham High School auditorium, which you as a board will host a forum for that referendum. And it will be run in a similar fashion to some of our past forums, where we'll have a chance to share with the public the project, have a chance to ask questions prior to that vote. But a lot of things coming up pretty quick with that, and we're excited to get by that last hurdle so that we can really start moving things forward with that project. So that's what I have for tonight.
Thank you. We're going to move on to board roundtable. Marge?
Yes, it's the beginning of school, and therefore, for you who are aware, in RSU 14, we have the RSU 14 backpack program. And in that program, what we do during the school year is we send bags of food home with children in the elementary grades who need the food, who have asked for the food, and it's every week during the school year. So I would like to thank the volunteers that do that program, because without them we couldn't do it. The help of Jeannie and Ryan, our chef, Michelle Jordan, who keeps us in contact with all the volunteers to make sure we've got enough people to pack. The other thing I want to let people know, in the past, Jeannie Riley has been able to put that, whether people need it or would like it, on the bottom of the free and reduced form. We will no longer have that form, and I know a lot of people have received that from her. So if there are any parents out there who feel that their child could benefit from getting one of these bags every week, please get a hold of Jeannie Riley at jriley@rsu14.org, and she will make sure that you get on the list. So again, I want to thank everybody who contributes. Without the community support, we would not be able to afford to give this food out. This is not done with taxpayer money. This is all contributions. And so for organizations, community members, businesses that contribute to this, I thank you very much, and I thank you from the children.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I am really looking forward to the presentations tonight. I think it's, thank you for putting on the agenda for the supporting nonprofit organizations, the boosters, the PTAs, PTOs, having touched into those, some of those in the past. I'm eager to hear about that, and I think as a board we continue to support that as messaging in the future, and just they have such a tremendous impact, so I'm looking forward to speaking about that. I want to thank Ms. Messer also for coming tonight. I think this is great timing with transportation. I'm eager to hear about any safety recommendations they have or innovations that they can recommend for the buses. I understand we'll have the opportunity to take a look at one tonight, but of paramount would be really circling back to comments that I'd made at the end of last year to see if there's anything in particular that they would recommend to improve awareness of cars passing after stop arms are out or that kind of thing. So if we don't hear that tonight, I would definitely want to hear about recommendations around that. I know they have a lengthy number of things they'll talk about tonight, but that was something I was looking forward to. And welcome back.
Anybody else? I would like to welcome the staff. Oh, jump the gun. Go ahead.
No, sorry. I just wanted to say that start of school year seems to be going well. So good work by administration and staff. It's never easy, even when it's a quote unquote normal year, and fingers crossed it stays that way. Everybody needs to knock on wood that it remains a normal year. News in the media is not good lately. It's making me cringe, but anyway. One thing that I would like to have the board consider is to resume meetings in Raymond every so often. I think that would lead to fair representation, give them an opportunity to citizens from Raymond to attend meetings and not have to drive all the way here. So I just wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
I want to respond to that. I had sent an email out to the board based on your request. And as you all know, our what's the official name? Safety team? Our safety team has done a thorough review of what would be appropriate and safe for board meetings. And their recommendation, as I communicated to all of you, is that we hold our meetings in this building and the auditorium. So based on the safety team's recommendation, we're going to continue meeting here for now. As time goes on, perhaps that will change. They looked at both the Raymond building and also the town council building for our meetings, and did a pretty thorough review, including police force and the chief. So I hear what you're saying. We can certainly review it again, but for the time being, we will be meeting in the auditorium, and particularly because the capacity here is bigger than the other two buildings, and as we move forward, we're anticipating a larger crowd perhaps, and if that changes, we will definitely reevaluate the location. But thank you for the feedback. Appreciate it. Yep.
Am I on here? Yep. Just to add to that, I had written down to say the same thing, and in fact, in terms of bringing it back, I wasn't here when you guys changed the schedule, so I heard something, but I'm not sure why. When I was on a couple of years ago, no one ever came to the meetings in Raymond, to be honest with you. But I guess I have a concern. I have two concerns. One concern is as things are changing, Raymond is, eventually not going to have a middle school. It's going to come over here. We're not having meetings in Raymond. Some of us know of a press release the other day that announced Wyndham was getting some monies from, I think, Department of Education, and some Raymond people said, wow, do Raymond kids get to be part of that too? So I really caution us that I think that this could have unintended consequences. And I totally understand having some group, look at the issue, whatever. I would like to ask it be brought to an agenda item for a board vote at some point. I want to at least be able to say that I voted that we should be both places.
We will consider it. Thank you. Any other comments? May I ask you, you made a comment about money, and I'd like you to clarify that if you would.
Yeah, I actually remember the day that press release came from the Department of Education because I cringed at it. Because for every single SAD and RSU, they only listed one town. And so for our neighbor, Greater Gloucester, they listed Gray. For Wyndham Raymond, they listed Wyndham. For SAD 11, they listed Gardner. And I think Mike actually made a great point because we have worked so hard to make sure that we are inclusive and we truly represent both communities. And I don't think that people who write press releases often think of the unintended consequences of when something gets reported as just being Wyndham when it's actually supporting kids in both Wyndham and Raymond. So you bring up a great point with that, but I remember the exact day and I cringed in the middle of summer when I saw that.
Anybody else have any comments?
Just to add to that, thank you, Chris. But I mean, I think the unintended consequences are not just the article in the paper, but also us not going to Raymond and us not having a school in Raymond. And I understand why we're not having a school in Raymond, but yeah, I mean, I think that it's an issue.
Thank you for your input. I just want to close on a positive that having attended the opening day, I want to thank Mr. Howe for his leadership. It was really a wonderful opening day, and it's a kickoff for how we conduct ourselves the rest of the year with optimism and students first. And it really put an exclamation point on our strategic plan and everything that is important to us as a district. It was wonderful to have the chamber singers sing. They're so cute, the freshmen. Gosh, they look so young. And they're just so wonderful, and the songs are just so uplifting. And I also, I had an opportunity to thank all the administrators, and I want to do it again because I know opening up a school takes a lot of work, and their staff work so hard to make a good first day for all of our students. So congratulations to everyone for great times opening up our schools, and here's to wonderful success for all of our students. So thank you.
May I just add, piggyback on yours? I also attended the opening day, and I did that for many years as an employee here. And also as a school board member, definitely a few times. And still, as an educator not in Wyndham, it's still very heartwarming and encouraging and wonderful to see and hear all the other people who are educators and support staff in our district who wouldn't be here if they didn't like what they did and didn't like students. Yes, it's hard work, but Mr. Howell, thank you for being so encouraging. I literally almost had a little tear in my eye, so thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to committee. Did I miss somebody again? No? Are we good? Okay. We're going to move on to committee reports, and I'm not sure if anybody's met. Yeah?
Facilities met. It's a little lengthy. Bear with me. We met on August 21st, and we met at the Manchester School. Surprise. It was before it was open, so it was very interesting. We did a walk around afterwards. The other thing that was really interesting about this is to be able to go into that school, and on that particular day, which was just a few days before we were letting the teachers in, and it was unbelievable how much looked like still needed to be done. Since that day, I have been back there, and the school looks beautiful. It really looks great. So let me start off with, the first item we had was the summer projects update from Bill. And the first one was RES. And of course, the biggest report there was on the new well, and there is no presence of PFAS in the water. The other thing I found really interesting was that well is 920 feet deep. Thank you, Mr. Howell, for telling us that. So the water did have elevated radon levels, but there is a radon mitigation system being installed. Now, as I go through these, I'm going to give you the highlights. I want everybody to know that these are online. If you go onto our website, you can go on and you can read the full minutes on the facilities committee. There was also I think they had some new sidewalks installed. So things went well up there, and hopefully, and I can't remember what the time was for getting them off the bottled water, Mr. Howell. Do you remember? I'm sorry, I didn't make note on that.
We are hoping by middle of October. I think one of the issues we're dealing with right now is the radon mitigation system has to be mitigated through the roof, and so looking at the path of least resistance through RES, through existing pipe chases. I know Bill was working with one of the plumbers this week trying to figure out the best way to get that there without putting it up the outside of the building, because it is such a beautiful building, and the last thing we want is a big ugly pipe going up the side. So trying to keep that building as pretty as possible but still meet the needs. So they're actively working on it. We want to get off that bottled water as quick as possible, and looking at that ventilation system.
Okay, so have patience, people, please. The next one was the primary school. He said the ductwork and the HVAC project was nearing completion. Hopefully, he was hoping it would be done by the start of school. I am not sure if it was. The gym floor, as we had heard from before, Mr. Howell had told us, was damaged. There was a lot of damage in the gym between the floor and the walls. Mike Duffy and Bill Hansen are working with the company to look at options for replacement in there. The BenQs from Wyndham High School were transferred to Wyndham Primary in Manchester, and new interactive flat panels were installed at Wyndham High School. At the Manchester School, Mr. Hansen reported that the temporary fencing installed to prevent students or staff from entering the construction site is up. I was there, I saw it. I understand some parents have some concerns about that. We're concerned about the safety of the students. So therefore, it is really fenced off so the students can only be in places that are safe for them and under the watchful eye of the great teachers and staff that are there. They're a little disappointed because they don't have the amount of fields there, but by the time that it's done out there, and the other thing is that people also need to be aware, and I know it has gone out, Mr. Howell, I think, has put it out, when those fields, when the sewer system is in and the fields are done, I think there is 2 years, Mr. Howell, that those fields need to sit.
It's, if everyone remembers back to Raymond Elementary, it's a 2-season growing season. So they're hoping to loam and seed this fall by October, and then maybe get some growth, but it'll probably be next year we'll need to grow and then get on possibly for the fall, but most likely next spring. Okay. It takes a little bit of time, but people should start actually seeing loaming and hydroseeding sometime in the next couple weeks.
We also saw the air conditioning system that was on top of the roof. It is quite large, but the building is holding it up. I know I did see some comments about that, but it seems to be fine. Things are well inside the building. There is nothing coming down anymore, and it is cool. Let's see, on Jordan Small, Mr. Hanson reported that the air handler and air conditioning system have been replaced in the main office. The clinic has been upgraded as well, and there's new pavement at Jordan Small Middle School as well. At Wyndham High School has a new office for the network administrator, has some upgrades to the kitchen equipment. I think that was probably posted, I know it was on Facebook, I'm not sure, but Jeannie was thrilled with that. The adult education building has had some improvements made. If you've seen, they've been working on the back of that building. Now, some of the upgrades that were supposed to happen at Jordan Small Middle School with the door upgrades have not been able to happen yet because there was this whole thing with the security, changing the security system coming in for a better line of sight. So that is temporarily on hold. Also, the loading dock expansion at the high school was not completed due to technology needs at the Wyndham High School installation of Promethean boards. And I have no idea what those are, by the way. So second topic was a potential land swap with the Manchester abutter, and this is at the back of that property. And I guess there isn't much here, but we did see it, and this is going to have no impact on the use or function at the school site. It is a small piece of property that we're swapping with somebody else, and believe me, nobody will notice it at all. The third item was a land purchase opportunity on Pope Road. That is just in conversations at the moment, and there will be more to report on that at a future date. And then we did the site walk, and I know a lot of people drive by it, but if you walk in there, which we were at that time, and I know nobody's allowed there now, but that is a very large piece of property when you walk it. It's really amazing, and it's really great. It is going to be really nice when it's really done, so I hope people have the patience to be able to wait, and in 2 years, I'm sure they will know that it has been long. It has been well worth the wait, and I know it could be a little dusty over there. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Marge.
We haven't met for curriculum, but we will be meeting on Monday.
Perfect. Anybody else? Yep.
Just a couple of things for finance. So our first regular meeting for the finance committee is on September 20th at 5:30 before the start of the regular school board meeting. Also next Thursday morning, I'll be meeting with Chris and Stacy to talk about the details of finance, how it all works, so we can better explain it, better understand it when it comes to budget season. So if other board members want to sit in on that, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. Policy asymptomatically. We're meeting next week. Yes, Monday. That closes committee reports. I'm sorry? Oh, did you have something?
Well, I just want to say hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I hope everyone had a great Labor Day weekend. I just want to say that the Wyndham football team had a huge win against Skowhegan this past weekend, 35-0. So congrats to them. And that senior dues are coming up. Just to let you guys know, seniors and parents, they're $40, which has stayed consistent over the past few years. And I just wanted to thank all the admin staff and student helpers that helped with freshman's first day. As a student helper for 3 years, I think it was the best welcoming day I've ever experienced. So thank you to all of you guys.
Great, thank you so much. We are very fortunate as a district to have the support of so many parents and some great parent organizations, and I'm thrilled that tonight we have the Raymond PTO and Wyndham PTA folks present their good work. It really dovetails nicely with our strategic plan, which is our core belief, community engagement. And I just want to read what that entails, that statement. We believe that it takes a community of collaborative partners to foster civic-minded students who are contributing to the local, national, and global community. We strive to build relevant and engaging partnerships. And honestly, the PTO and the PTA do so much for our students and our staff and our district. And I would like to welcome Ra Huff, Raymond PTO President, and Tiffany Sinclair, Wyndham PTA President, to just give a little overview of, yeah, if you could sneak over here to the microphone, that would be great. Of all the good work that you're doing, and a little plug for membership, perhaps. So welcome.
I actually wrote something down this time. Good evening, and thank you for the invitation to provide a quick presentation highlighting the work of the Raymond Schools PTO. My name is Ra Huff. I live in Raymond with my husband, Scott, and 3 children. 1 is in Raymond Elementary, and 2 are in Jordan Small Middle School. This is both my first year working in the PTO. I am also the chair of the PTO. And I also started working at Raymond Elementary School as a special educational ed tech. So it's been a lot of firsts for me this year. It's a learning curve. As a registered nonprofit organization, Raymond Schools PTO serves Raymond Elementary and Jordan Small Middle School. Our goals are to foster relationships between educators, parents, guardians, and students, to enhance the educational environment, to raise funds for educational materials and experiences, to recruit volunteers and coordinate volunteer efforts for programs and projects that support and enrich the curriculum and educational goals of the schools. And finally, to do our part in building a strong sense of community through connection. During the 2022-2023 school year, the efforts of the community, staff, and students and families, student families, donated in time, goods, financial resources, broad support of our mission. We were able to fund over $4,000 in field trips to our pre-K through 8th grade students, host a free community Halloween movie event in collaboration with Raymond Parks and Rec, support concessions for Jordan Small Middle School events. They had a fall fiesta and their dances. Partner with local businesses for fundraisers. We did the clink bottle donations, which I think we did like, close to 3,000 bottles, which is pretty cool. Organized the book fairs. Through those, we were able to fund $1,116 worth of books for Raymond Elementary through our Scholastic book dollars. We also were able to give a book to every student that we oversee. Through rounding up for the purchases in the book fairs and so on. We were also able to provide a luncheon for over 100 staff during Staff Appreciation Week in May. As all but our treasurer this year of our board are brand new members to the board, we are kind of taking it a little slow this fall, but still doing some amazing things. We have a book fair at Jordan Small Middle School in October 16th to 20th, wow. And we have a book fair at Raymond Elementary School, November 6th through the 10th. We are planning on doing concessions at both Jordan Small Middle School's grade 5 and 6 fall event and their 7th and 8th grade dance, which are both November 17th. And we are still planning on doing our pie fundraiser, which is around Thanksgiving, because pies. And then in the spring, we're still planning on doing staff appreciation. We want to do a spring community event. We weren't able to do one in this fall, and we do try to do those every semester. A Scholastic book fair, and I believe we're still planning on doing the flower fundraiser. We also have a website that you can see all of this information on, which is raymondschoolspto.org. We also fund the field trips. teachers are able to request grants for their field trips, and we spend about $4,000 toward the field trips of Raymond Elementary and Jordan Small. The odd thing that we did this summer, we decided to do away with, the board voted to do away with membership for our particular the PTO. We feel it creates an unnecessary barrier for families, faculty, and the community at large to participate, and we wanted to make it as simple as possible for volunteering, for people to be able to volunteer their time throughout the year. And we did ask that if you are unable to volunteer your time, to be able to donate about $25 just to kind of help along. Since we do a lot of things for pre-K through 8th grade in Raymond. And lastly, we're working on collaborating more closely with the Wyndham PTA, as we are both under the same school district, and our middle schools are in the process of combining. So we're excited to see where that leads us during the year and in the years to come. And thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you so much. I'm a little overwhelmed with everything that you just mentioned. It's quite a bit. I wouldn't mind it, actually. Bravo. We really appreciate all the support and your leadership. And I know you're a newbie, but it sounds like you've got things well in hand. Thank you so much.
All right. This is our second time presenting, so good evening. My name is Tiffany Sinclair, and this is Beth Earle, our PTA secretary. She's our frontline person during the school year, because our brand new board is made up of 3 educators, so we are also busy, but she's taken the year off. So she's in the building for us to meet the needs. Yeah. We are moms, educators, and part of the Wyndham Maine Parent-Teacher Association, or the Wyndham Maine PTA is how we advertise it. We are a nonprofit association made up of parents, educators, and community members. It's our belief that a team effort approach offers the best possible learning environment for our children to be supported socially, emotionally, and academically. We believe our focus provides the opportunity for students to thrive during their educational journey here at RSU 14. We work in partnership with a wide array of individuals and organizations to broaden and enhance our ability to serve and advocate for all children and families. We are dedicated to children's educational success, health, and well-being through strong family and community engagement, while remaining accountable to the principles upon which our association was founded. We acknowledge the potential of everyone without regard, and we value the individual contributions of members, employees, volunteers, and partners as we work collaboratively to support every child's potential becoming a reality. Throughout the year, we raise funds that allow us to provide classroom grants and educational materials for student experiences. We offer and support opportunity for community gatherings and social interactions, such as kindergarten screening, back to school nights, fall festival, homecoming, jamming for mental health through the arts, Wyndham Summerfest, National Night Out, and Family Fun and Fitness would be the influence. We help foster community support and appreciation through a variety of hospitality events, such as conference dinners and Staff Appreciation Week. We provide an inclusive forum for sharing information on issues that impact our children. This year, our advocacy efforts will focus on student belonging. This focus is for the district as well, and we look forward to working along the side of them this year. We hope that knowing more about us invites others to join our team. To know more, you can visit us at wyndhammainepta.org or follow us on our Facebook page. And we thank you for the opportunity to present to you tonight.
Again, we are most appreciative for all your support. I kind of follow you a little bit, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot going on. It's very impressive, and I know you also are, you're not this year, but you're working hard behind the scenes in the schools, so we really appreciate it. And I have to say, the one thing that I'm excited about is perhaps the collaboration between the PTA and the PTO. I think that will give us a greater sense of being united as a district and being one, and I think perhaps you've noticed that, and maybe can be some collaboration on certain activities that would unite both groups and parents and staff. So bravo to you for considering that. I think that's really wonderful. And again, thank you for coming again. I know you both presented at opening day and wowed the staff, and I was wowed, and I'm happy to hear it again because it was more in depth and just incredible, all the things that you do to support our staff and our students. We're just so grateful. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're not done with parent organizations and the importance of them. And next up are Wyndham Raymond Athletic Boosters. Rich Drummond, RSU 14 Athletic Director. Kristen, I know I'm going to get this wrong. Drotter, okay. Athletic Boosters President, and Kim Hartwell, Athletic Boosters Vice President, are joining us here today. And again, this organization, and I was I was actually part of the PTO back in the day, so I'm very familiar with how hard you all work. But the boosters also are a tremendous support for our students, and I can't thank you enough for all the work that you do on behalf of our athletic program. So I'm gonna it looks like Rich is ready to pop up and Are we having a presentation? Oh, okay, sure. Sure. Welcome, Rich.
Thank you for the opportunity, and welcome back, everyone. Just real quick, little background information on the boosters, and by no means do I want to steal any of their thunder. I've been warned, but in any event, we're lucky here at Wyndham High School. We have a unified boosters group, and what they do and what they cover and what they encompass is they cover all sports. They're a booster group for all sports. If you go to a lot of other schools, and I worked at 2 schools previous to this as the athletic director, at Noble High School and Portland High School, they have individual boosters. They have football boosters here. They have wrestling boosters here, boys basketball, girls basketball. So under an athletic director's purview and the principal and the superintendent, you could have anywhere from 10 to 20 individual booster groups. And it allows for a lot of tugging, pulling, and we'll leave it at that, but it's very difficult. Here, it's one group, it's one meeting a month, it's pulling all in the same direction, and it's invaluable to our success. The boosters, they don't provide fluff, I'll call it, for the kids. We're not, traveling to Skowhegan. Our football team went there last week. They didn't travel on a big coach bus or anything like that. We took a bus through the transportation department right up 95. So there isn't a lot of fluff that the boosters provide, but what they provide are things that really help enhance the athletic programming that the district can't provide in the athletic budget. And how that process works is if a coach feels that they need or want or really wants to look into something that will help their program, they'll come to me first, they'll make a presentation, we'll talk about it. I might be able to find resources or monies without bringing it to the boosters. But we'll sit and discuss, and then from there, we'll make a decision. Yeah, Coach, I think I can take this to the boosters. Or, Coach, I can tell you right now, great thoughts. I'm not comfortable bringing this to the boosters. So that's kind of the way it works. We don't have coaches flying in every meeting, mandating, requests and things like that. Usually what I bring to them has been well thought out and well planned. And they've been, the boosters this is my 14th year here, have been more than accommodating to the department and to the kids. So that's a quick little intro that I have. I'll be available after for any questions, but at this time, I'll turn it over to Kristen Drotter, our booster president.
Thank you, Rich. He did steal a little bit of my thunder, but that's okay. So yes, I'm Kristen Broder. I'm the Boosters president, and we have Kim Hartwell, who's the vice president, and Michelle Jordan, who does all the things, but she's our volunteer coordinator for the Boosters board. And just to fill in a couple of pieces that might not be in our video or in the handout that you just got, the things that we're showing you tonight are the things that we show on Coaches Night. So every season, Rich holds a Coaches Night. Usually there's speakers or something, a message that we want to get out to athletes, and we do a little presentation to encourage volunteers through that forum. So we wanted to give you that same information that we give to parents, just so you know kind of what we're putting out there. But a couple of things that aren't on there that we just wanted to let you know about. One thing that you might have heard about through Boosters is courting. That seems to be a big thing, that you get courted. All athletes get courted. If you participate in a sport for all 4 years during high school, you will get a cord for that. So if you do one sport, you get 1 cord, 2, you get 2 cords, 3, you get 3 cords. And you get those regardless of parent involvement in volunteering. Those are just like, good job, you were an athlete and you were persistent and stuck with something all through high school, so that's awesome. As a thank you from Boosters, we allow you to participate in a ceremony that we have as part of like kind of the last weeks of school, and we work closely with Rich and Marlene to get that information together. But that's just a thank you, because all money that we raised couldn't be raised without parents' participation. So whether it's the craft fair or it's concession stands and people making French fries and selling candy out of a cart up by the stands, that all comes from parent volunteers. So we need parents in order to earn any money. And like Rich said, this is an all sports Boosters, so every dollar that's made at a football game doesn't just go back to football, it goes back to all athletes. So we really are very proud of that. One thing that we started in the spring was a donation jar that is at the concession stand. We'll probably have it at our craft fair as well. And we are just asking just for extra change at the end of a transaction, if people want to. And that money goes back to a fund that Rich kind of oversees. And it is for athletes that might not have new sneakers to play sports, or might not be able to buy the warm-up that everybody else is able to buy. So we just wanted to make sure that sports are accessible to all athletes, and that they can feel like they're just as much part of the team, even if they can't financially afford it. So those are a couple of things that we've been excited to implement, and we'll be available after the video for some questions, but we'll just show you what we show the parents. So if you guys have any questions, we're here to answer them. I do want to thank Rich. He is such a great part of our team, even though he doesn't have to be. He comes to all of our meetings and does do a great job at kind of being kind of the intermediate person between what we're trying to do and what coaches do, so we don't overwhelm coaches with our questions. He's kind of the middleman on that. So we appreciate his role in our program. Do you guys have any questions?
I just have a comment as an alumni of parent volunteer for the boosters. It really does take parents to make this organization really click, and I appreciate all your efforts to drum up volunteers for all the sports, and it's so great that it's not, as Rich described, not just one sport, but collectively all the sports. I've spent many an hour in the past in the shack. I don't know if you call it that. We called it the snack shack back in the day. And the one thing that I would not touch, I would do anything else, but I would not touch the fryer later.
You're not alone.
It's pretty frightening. I'm just going to leave it at that. But thank you. I've attended the courting ceremonies, and I know that it's a special time for athletes, and I appreciate certainly the little coin jar or cash jar. I really love that idea for students who can't afford items. We want to be all-inclusive in our activities, and if there's any student who would like to participate, I would certainly like to see them be a part of a team if they make it and they want to. So thank you. You're a well-oiled machine. It's been going on for a long time. Your leadership is really noted, and I also want to acknowledge Rich because he kind of juggles all the balls and is the filter for what can and can't be done. So to all of you, thank you so much. It really means a lot to us. Yeah.
I have a couple questions, and they may or may not be team related or for you exactly. That was really great. I guess my first question is, how do you find the integration with the school with respect to communication with your target audience? You're an outside organization. What tools do you use to integrate with your volunteers and how you spread the message?
Our volunteers.
So we do a few things. We have a Facebook page. We also have a very beautiful website that one of our parents has designed for us. We also do, I have an email communication. We have a Google form that parents can fill out that provides their information where we record what their class year students are as well. And I send emails out to notify parents of volunteer opportunities. And I also target them sometimes for class specific. So for example, since this is a class of 24, they get first choice of volunteer opportunities for the fall. So every time a new volunteer opportunity opens up, I send it first to the class of 24, and then it'll go out to the other families after that, because we want to they're our priority. We want to make sure that those families get the opportunities to volunteer. So we use a couple of different methods. Rich's Meet the Coaches Night, we always have an opportunity to speak and present, so that also helps make parents aware. We will run advertisements in the paper. We kind of use all the same ways that school uses. So, and it's been pretty effective. Word of mouth is always very effective as well.
That's great. I guess I was thinking on a larger sense, and I don't know if this is an actual request, but more of a comment for our team to think about. We have Parent Square, and if there's an opportunity for some of these organizations to, by default, I guess a request would come in, and maybe the administrator would evaluate whether that was appropriate to a message to share out through that platform. But that's something I just wanted to bring up.
Yes, so I will speak to that if you don't mind. So Marlene, I've always worked with Marlene, and usually sometime late in September, we do always send one message out to all the high school parents introducing boosters as well. So we have had the support of the school. Of course, it has been on listserv in the past, so I would assume when I reach out to Marlene that it will shift to Parent Square this year, but we do that as well, a general introduction of boosters. I try and wait until later into September because we know we're all being bombarded with information right now, so it's one that I hold off on. But yes, thank you, we do do that as well.
No problem. And I guess my second question is, what's your fundraising budget annually?
So we don't have a specific budget. We raise what we raise, and we have a philosophy that we spend what we raise. So we obviously like to keep some funds in our account because we automatically give all the teams the $500 stipends, and we're also doing scholarships every year. But pretty much whatever's flowing in is flowing back out. The craft fair could raise $18,000 or $20,000, and that's going to go right back out. Concessions, it'll depend on the sport, the season, the weather, who we're playing. So a game might raise $300 or a game might raise $2,000. But again, we really work to make sure whatever comes in goes right back out through the endowments, through all the different enrichments, rather, and all the different requests. You saw a list of quite a few that we did in the last. That was just this past school year. So.
I just wanted to add one thing. This is my 3rd year in the role of president, and by the time a request comes through Rich and gets to us, we haven't refused. I don't think we've turned down any request that's come through. So, like Michelle said, we're trying to just get the money back for the students as soon as we can. So it's just a matter of finding out what the kids need and making sure that we can get it for them.
Is it safe to say that the craft fair is your largest?
I would say it's the largest one-time fundraiser.
Right.
We did take a hit through COVID, but I think we're back to. I think we're on a wait list already for this year's craft fair. We're at 188 vendors. And so we're certainly back to where we were before that, so that's good to see.
Well, I know I received through listserv notification of your meetings, and my understanding is anybody can attend your meetings?
I'll just stand up here. Yes,
just a little plug.
Yep. We meet on the first Monday, generally, unless it's a holiday, of the month right here in the alumni conference room, and everybody is welcome to attend. Their meetings are at 6:30. So yeah, we'd love to have anybody.
Perfect. Thank you again. Thanks for the presentation. We certainly appreciate everything that you do. We're very grateful. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to move in to item 12, RSU 14 transportation. And the wheels on the bus have started to turn. And we're delighted that we have some co-directors that will be joining us this evening for our Transportation Department, Aaron Gant and Sharon Lehman, and Christine Frost-Burtonay will also be assisting. I know that transportation is a daunting proposition. My understanding is any day of the week, school week, we travel, correct me if I'm wrong, 3,500 miles or thereabouts, which, is that right? Am I making it up? All right, well, I'm going with 3,500. In any event, you all are the first faces, you and your staff, for all of our kiddos and our parents, and you present a welcoming atmosphere, and I know safety is first. We've heard from some concerns that I know we'll look into, but for the most part, we're really happy to have you on board, and I'm going to let Christine and you all take it away.
So we're actually going to be heading, I'll get my slides set up so the public can see. We'll be heading out, those of you in the audience here and the board members will be heading out to hop on a big yellow bus and check out safety features. When you return, because we have some slides we'll be taking a look at, if you'd sit in the front, and we'll come back and learn more about all things safety and transportation. So if you would, we'll follow Aaron and Sharon out to the bus.
Anyone in the public can join us.
nice and shiny. So she's having to yeah, so I don't think it was, I don't know. Annika still thinks.
For the safety of our kiddos. What I'd like to do is explain what this is right here. This is crossing arm. This prevents our students from crossing directly in front of the bus. It also guides them 10 feet down from the bus so that they can see the driver and the driver can see them. We'd like them to come down this far so that making eye contact with the driver can let them know when it's safe to cross, when you have to cross. Although our goal here is to cross not to cross our kids, but to use the right side of the road to drop off and pick up. So we try as hard as we can when we build runs or adjust runs to do that so that they're as safe as possible.
Another couple of features on some of our newer buses. This one we received last year. Some of our Bluebird buses, you'll notice most of our fleet is IC, which is this style bus. We have Bluebird. We do have a couple of Thomas buses, which are a little bit older in our fleet. However, one of the things that we try to get on all of our new buses, you notice the backlit sign up top, very visible. Our Bluebird buses have those as well. Any new bus that's coming in. We also, on the Bluebird buses, the stop sign that is out. Everyone kind of wants to come over on this side. So, as you can see, this is a standard stop sign that we have on most of our buses. However, I think we have 4 Bluebirds that actually have a backlit stop sign. So you actually see stop. It's all lit up. And then we also have some of our higher volume traffic areas. We have extended stop arms. I'm sure if you guys have been out in the community, you've seen some of those. And those stop arms will actually come about this far out with another sign. Again, like what Sharon was just saying, to reiterate, we try to do as much door side drop off and pick up as we can. If we have to cross over, we try to do that as safely as possible. Any other safety features on it, like you have roof hatches, you have windows that deploy out if there's any type of an accident or anything along those lines. I'll show you guys what that looks like if you're interested. If not, the only other thing is the exit towards the back. Same.
How about the cameras on the buses? Because that's, I know, one of the biggest changes we've seen in the last 8 years or so is the number of cameras and the quality of the cameras.
Yes. So we run what's called an HD5 1200 system in our buses. It's in a zigzag pattern inside the bus, full video, full audio. We also, it's probably hard to see because of the dark, but there is a front-facing mounted camera in the windshield so we can see what's going on in front. We also have a side camera here to see, we can catch if there's someone that runs a light or anything that goes on out on this side of the bus.
So one of the questions that I had asked with the situations that happened on the multiple vehicles passing on tier 2 with the extended arm, the bus drivers are trying to catch license plate numbers and identify the person who's driving so they can give that to the police officer, right? So as a parent, I feel that's a lot when they're also responsible for a whole bus full of children and keeping that child safe, right? So my question was to the bus driver, do they know? And then I also asked the sheriff, are there cameras that are capable to go on that extended arm so that the bus driver isn't so concerned with capturing? That person was wearing a red sweatshirt, they had blonde hair, they were driving a BMW with the license plate from Florida. Like, they're concerned about the kid. I want them to be concerned about my kid, not what kind of car or license plate. Is that a possibility?
On the extended stuff, my initial response to that is no, just because of you're going to be talking about a cable going out to the end of that. However, the camera that's on, the camera that's right here, actually we can pick up fairly good. I have a new bus coming in within the next week or so, and that one of the incidents that you referred to with the person that went to the right-hand side.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do with that is actually have one of our new buses this year come in with a rear-facing camera. So we could have picked up what happened on that. Because as we looked at the video on that, you could catch on one of the zigzag patterns, looking out, you can barely see what happened, and then you can see it come across. But having a rear
I have an idea that maybe in the meeting we can talk offline about that other arm that I researched after talking to the police officer.
I haven't seen anything, like the company that we use, it's out of Pennsylvania, I haven't seen any.
I have an idea for you.
Okay.
So I'd like to talk with you about it. But because like I said, I'm just trying to put myself in the bus driver's position. Even my mom driving an SUV, that's a lot of stuff going on. And I try to think, what's the most important thing at that moment is safety of the kids. I don't think it's fair to expect them to grab WMG 63, Florida State, in 6 cars at a time to remember all of that.
They don't typically, they're focusing on if they're offloading or onloading or waiting for all of that to pass to offload. So that focus is on those kids. If they happen to catch what's happening here, they catch it.
But situationally, if and it has happened, I've stood there and watched it, and admittedly, I've chased after the cars, 6 of them at a time.
No, I know what you're saying.
To get the license plate numbers, to go to the sheriff, because I know where the sheriff lives. And I've said to them, and I've gone down and had them parked there. And
but I was explaining to the driver. The
I'm
really focusing on the safety of the
and they are. They're wonderful drivers. They're so lucky.
If they can catch some of that, they do.
They're so lucky. But it's not fair to have that expectation of them. And we'd like to catch these people, right? We caught the one on Egypt Road, which was before your guys' time, only because the bus driver has been such a seasoned bus driver and is from town, and she knew the guy that drove the pickup truck, right? So, but these are things that we can talk through multiple things, which is like what I was saying, multiple things, some of which is description, some of which is state. But I think some things are fixed and we can just communicate together. Yeah. Is it true that only when you're at a dead stop, the red lights come on?
So, the short answer is yes.
Yeah,
the red lights, full stop, doors open, red lights come on. However, there is a switch that you can have the red lights on before you open up the door.
And we don't have any of the buses in our fleet that have the thing on the top? The white lights?
We do have,
are they all?
We do have strobes on
that one's got it in the back. That one's got it on the back hatch.
Okay.
So in terms of a question, then if the new bus coming in would have the back camera, are you implying that our current fleet doesn't have the cameras on the
Correct.
back?
This is something since that incident that happened up in Raymond. We used the TID to do our camera and radio installs. And I reached out to Matt shortly after that and asked him, have you, installed one of these on a school bus before, which he hasn't. So it's really going to be a pilot program for us. And it could go further. And if that is successful, which I'm really meaning that it's going to be, each bus that comes in after that, that'll just be standard for us. Yep. And I can turn the interior lights on, so if anybody wants to go on the bus and kind of see how that's all set up, you're more than welcome to.
I'd love to see what they do.
Sure.
And Aaron, could you also speak to the loading and unloading of the tablet and how that works? Or
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, if everyone wants to pile on, we can.
Darren, can I just ask if you're...
Yeah, this is great.
We do them twice a year in October during.
Okay, well, welcome back. Gary, are you ready? Thank you. So we just went on our tour of the school bus parked outside and reviewed all the safety features. We're going to hop into some other updates from the transportation department. Erin will join us shortly. Sharon, one of our co-directors, is going to walk us through some things that we did as we sat down, at least 6 months ago, and we looked at our existing website page for the transportation department. And we went through every possible link on that page and thought about it from the perspective of a parent, a new parent, perhaps joining us from some other state far away and has never been here, and thinking about this new family coming in, trying to navigate that page on the website to understand what bus might my child be on? And we know that's an important first step in thinking about your child's first day at school. And so we went through and we did a complete overhaul, and Erin and Sharon had a lot of input into how to get it better, how to make it more user-friendly for our parents. So Sharon's going to walk through the features.
So the first thing we looked at was you'll see the tiles that say Wyndham bus runs and Raymond bus runs. And it's my understanding in the past that we actually used to post the bus stops with the bus times with the bus number. But if you're not from here, you're not going to have any idea which bus you're supposed to be on in your bus stop. But the other thing with that is we find in today's society that's not safe to put out to the community any longer. That it's not okay to have bus stop locations and times to be posted out to the public for any and everyone to see. So we decided that we would post, under our bus runs, we would post a street road directory. At least this would give you the bus number in which that would be picking you up. Won't give you the time or the bus stop, but it will give you the bus number. So we went ahead and posted our street road directories for both Wyndham and Raymond. And then decided that, and that's going to lead me into the next tile, that we have available to us this Ride 360 app through our Traversa platform that we use in transportation. So we decided that we would get this up and running and promote it so that our parents can find their students' busing information. It is both a web-based as well as a mobile app. So if you don't choose to install the mobile app, you can use the web address to also find the information. Create an account, and you can link your students to your account. One student is allowed to link to 2 separate accounts. Yep.
The other thing I want to go back to the bus runs. If you remember the old site, a new family might go to the site and they'd call me and say, I'm new to this community and I don't know how to find my child's bus number, because they'd go and they'd click and see 32 PDF pages that they'd have to sort scan through to find their address and which bus their child might be on. And it was really anxiety producing and quite cumbersome for those new families to try to navigate. So that was another reason of going to just one for Wyndham residents and one for Raymond. They could more easily find their bus number.
So our next tile is titled Conduct and Safety. And we have a written document that we posted here, which has the proper conduct and safety do's and don'ts when riding our buses. For example, waiting for letter C is like waiting for the bus to come to a complete stop before you board the bus or enter towards the bus. So all kinds of details for parents to read and then go over with their children so that they're safe at the bus stop, they're safe while on the bus, and as they depart our buses. We also have done copies of these out for our bus drivers to distribute to the kiddos next week. So if anyone didn't get a chance to view that, we'll have hard copies sent home with our children. Hiring, we're always hiring. Although we are fully staffed currently, we always have room for spare drivers. There's always room. Athletics is very busy, and so if you know of anyone, send them our way. I'm going to elaborate a little bit on that, on the hiring. Back in February of 2022, the Federal Motor Coach Safety Association implemented a new program for all CDL Class A and B drivers. So now they're required to go through an entry-level driver training program, which requires a trainer. And so it made it so that our existing bus drivers could not train new drivers. Well, we have a trainer on board, so that's given us the opportunity to bring on 5 new drivers since the Federal Motor Coach implemented this program. So we're fortunate to have that. Most school departments are looking, transportation school departments are looking to bring those on, but we do have a fantastic trainer on board, so we're fortunate with that.
I want to mention something. I'm going to click on this employment link. One of the things we realized was that School Spring, which is wonderful, a lot of educators tend to go to School Spring to look for job postings, but that's not something that somebody looking to become a bus driver might be looking for. They might not navigate that site. It is, you have to build an application. And so one of the things we've reflected on is for bus drivers and substitutes, custodians, ed techs, folks in the nutrition department, transportation for sure, that having a paper application might be one less thing to have to navigate. So we are accepting these paper applications right now and trying to find a digital way of making something a little bit easier for some of the folks interested in working in schools. So that is also there on that site if anybody wants to apply.
We've also posted out in the community as well as in the Eagle. We posted an ad, so if you know of anyone, we're paid trainers, so send them our way. All right, and so also on our webpage, we've tried to make it easier for folks to have access to training, changing their transportation schedule if need be. So when we have new students come on board and they're uploaded into our transportation platform, we automatically will route them to their primary address bus stop. More times than not, that needs to be changed. So this is the form that we are directing folks to go to now to make a change to their current transportation. And Aaron's up.
So we had a couple of opportunities this past summer. One of the events was the Touch a Truck, which was up behind Hannaford. And the Lions Club had reached out to Mr. Howell and myself and asked if we could put a bus on display. And Fortunately, we had a driver that was more than willing to go and do that, and it was a very successful event. The other event that we participated in was the Summerfest Parade. I guess there was a few years that had gone by where there was no bus or some sort of representation from RSU 14. Again, thought it was a great idea. Let's get a couple buses out there, and we want to continue over the next few, however long to, be a part of the community and be, service to them and have this on display. Yeah, so, and then at the end of our website, there's obviously my contact info, Sharon's contact info, Jen, and then we also have Robin Wells, who just joined the team. She came from many years' experience from Portland schools, and now is part of RSU 14, so we're pretty excited to have her on board and part of the admin team inside of our office. So I get to talk about the fun stuff. So bear with me as I kind of go through the first few days of starting of school. But before I get started, as I was listening to Sharon talk, I really wanted to share with you guys the driving staff that we have is probably some of the best folks that I've worked with. And I've been in school bus transportation since 2015. And, these folks, they generally, they love what they do. They really do. And their best interest is to make sure that these students are safely transported from home into school. So if you see them out on the roads, just say thank you. They deserve it. But I'm going to start with the recall day, which was 8/24. We recalled our drivers, and to bring them in for a beginning of the school meeting, we wanted to go over some of the expectations of the new school year. We wanted to go over tablet training, from the previous year. They had a few weeks off there over the summer, kind of a refresher. Had them go over their buses, making sure that everything was okay that they needed, some simple stuff like trash bag liners, things like that, like maybe that the mechanics or someone may have missed. We have, almost 40 pieces of equipment that we maintain in around 20 vans. So, the mechanic staff they're right on top of that as well. So leading up to opening day, we had the opportunity as a department to participate in the open ceremonies here. And we had a good time as far as a department. We really enjoyed being a part of that. And I'm going to be a little bit selfish here. We had an opportunity to be recognized as well. And the driving staff really appreciated that. So thank you, Mr. Howell, for that. And it was good. That was a good morale booster for our staff. However, here's where it gets fun. So while we were up here, 383 phone calls came into our office. Okay? So at that point, when we returned, between myself, Sharon, Jen, and Robin, we started fielding phone calls and emails. And so this was, either changes in transportation or transportation requests or you name it, it was coming through. So that was Monday. Opening day. So we had a repeat in the office, so I don't need to repeat that up anymore. The phone, the second you hung up, you picked the phone back up, and that's how that went. But one of the things that I wanted to just touch basis on is, we did have a few hiccups. Probably the biggest one we had was we had two bus routes in Raymond that we did some work on over the summer to try to even out student ridership on both buses. We also found out that we weren't meeting times. There were some things that had gone on there. Over the last few days, the staff has worked very hard on resolving the issue. We are monitoring it closely. There are still some minor adjustments that still need to be made on that, but that was really the point, like took point on that to try to get that rectified. And I think by the sounds of things, I think things are working okay at this point. So again, we'll continue monitoring that. So on day 2, after the morning run, and Sharon and I ended up holding a staff meeting, driving staff meeting. There were a few things that had gone on that needed to be addressed. The biggest thing that we went over with the drivers was, picking up and dropping off students, the expectations of using the tablet, clicking students on and off at correct locations. We also talked about the Mill Street Exchange and what does that look like and how students need to get to correct buses. We talked about picking up students in the morning and getting them to school, but also either advising the parents and or the student, if parent was not at the pickup, to contact transportation due to them not being either routed or in our system. And we're continuing that at, even as today, tomorrow, and so on and so forth. And one last issue that I wanted to bring up that was a challenge over the last few days was we had no two-way communication with our Raymond buses. I ended up calling RCM out of Portland on Tuesday, and they scheduled a technician to go out to check the repeater in Raymond on Friday, and to see if there was any issues. I followed up with them earlier this week, and RCM found no issues with our repeater. However, we did find that the Raymond schools were having a network issue, and that has been resolved as of today. And this afternoon, we did have good communications with our Raymond drivers. So that sounds like that problem has been resolved.
So just to briefly highlight, we do have a policy EEAC, or the letters, that can be found on the district website under board policies. These are some highlights I just wanted to go over, and I'll let them chime in if they have any thoughts, but we pulled out some things that we think are really important for people to understand. First is bus stops. So the bus stops are determined by these two individuals, the co-directors of the department. Chris and I don't determine the bus stops, principals don't determine, they determine the safest way to pick up kids and drop them off. Sometimes that's a cluster stop, a group stop, multiple families going to one location. Sometimes it is door to door. It really depends on their analysis of the best possible route. So that's spelled out in policy. And it's just, in addition, the roads, thinking deeply about what was brought up earlier tonight, the safest place for a bus to turn around. That turnaround location is important. We've had calls come in where people have requested a different place, and because the bus cannot safely turn around, it's not a viable option. So they're looking at all sorts of safety measures when they're determining both stops and turnaround spaces on roads. Elementary schools, spelled out in policy. They are, elementary students are to have one run Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and the exception is the Wednesday because of the early release day. Secondary students have one bus, pick up and drop off, same location, 5 days a week. And the other piece, just to note, something we talked about on our trip out to the bus, but safety is critical. And the only people who can allow someone to board a bus, other than a student on the tablet, these two individuals. So the bus drivers have been working really hard with their directors on making sure that if a student is not supposed to be on their bus, they do not see them in the tablet, they're not approved by Aaron and Sharon, then they can't allow them to board the bus. And so in that instance, when that happens, and it does happen from time to time, the staff get the student back into the office and they call, and the student gets picked up, and the parents are reminded to go to the transportation change request form if they need to make a change. The reason the child wasn't able to board is that in our system, we have that, a specific address. And if that child is trying to go somewhere else, perhaps a daycare on a different day, if we don't know about that, we need to correct that and have the parents make that correction. Anything else?
I just want to add that sometimes parents will just go through the teacher. I know they have most of their contact is with the student's teacher, so a lot of that goes through the teacher. What I find is that if we're having our parents communicate changes and additions and deletions to transportation with our teachers, and now we have multiple changes coming through to the teachers, and then that information gets skewed, and then we get the information, and maybe on paper, we can't be sure that it's going to be accurate because it's gone through multiple hands, and now we've dropped off a student where they shouldn't be because there was so much manual happening that now we've lost a student. That's not what we want. We're not trying to be difficult. We're just trying to keep the kiddos safe, and that's why we want to hear directly from the parents as to where their students need to go, so that we're dropping them off, picking them up where they need to be picked up, and we're dropping them off exactly where they need to be dropped off, and we're not dealing with a frantic parent because we did something we shouldn't have done. We want them to be safe. Any questions? Go ahead.
Thanks. I have 2 questions, but first, I forgot to pick up my kids today, so thanks. It was Wednesday, and the bus driver called me and said, hey, I have your kids. Can you come get them? So thank you for handling them safely. They were back at the garage and then had a great old time. They thought it was great. I was embarrassed, so thank you for taking care of them. I have 2 questions. So if there's internet issues at the school, I was thinking that the Ride 360 would have a satellite connection. Can you help me just understand that? I was aware of the internet issues at the school, but how does that tie into the Ride 360 app?
So we're looking into that with the platform in which
Traversa, which is a Tyler product, and they're the ones who promote the app that we're currently using. So I've actually reached out to them because we've had several people reach out to us recently that they can't see where the bus is, or they're just getting a blank screen or whatnot. So I don't know if it's a glitch in their app or it had something to do with what was happening up in Raymond this week with our GPS. So I'm hoping to get an answer to that so that when folks email us that I can answer honestly and help you out with what the problem is that's happening.
So just thinking about putting my kiddos through the registration process at Raymond Elementary and the green form that goes to the teacher and the information to the parent is, hey, fill this in so the teacher has this. This is not their transportation schedule. So might make the suggestion, if it doesn't already exist, that if there is a change form that's submitted, that goes to the child's teacher because they hang on to those green forms. And they're saying it's a backup. If we don't know where the kid's supposed to go, that we would pull the green form. That information could change. So just making that suggestion based on our enrollment last week.
Thank you. Yeah, so Beth Peavy, the principal at Raymond, sent out a message on Parent Square because of the confusion. That was an internal for teachers to have a sense of where their kids were going to help, especially the younger students, to help them if they're in kindergarten. They don't always know what bus they're on. So that got confused. So people thought they'd communicated. So Beth has corrected that, and that's a good point. In the future, we'll make sure there's no confusion about which form gets to these 2. Right, so the office then has access to all the students and their buses. So really the office at the school is communicating with staff if there's any change. They have that daily update. They can see if there's a change to a student's bus. So that really is more handled at the school level, I think is what you're suggesting. That's a good sec. So we'll work with principals just to make sure we're all on the same page. People are looking at the same information. Any other questions? Okay, thank you both.
Okay, we're going to move on to a Parent Square presentation. And again, I'd like to welcome Assistant Superintendent Christine Frost-Burnett and also Richie Vickers.
Thank you. Sorry, I should have had you stay there. So I don't want you to hurt your necks. This is, you've seen a bunch of this, I think. Parent Square should look familiar, but this is also to get those at home signed up. And so this is, we want people to get familiar with the look of the Parent Square app in the upper right-hand corner. These little handouts are in all of the schools, so families are welcome to pick one up, and it has QR codes to get folks downloading the app if they choose, but you don't have to. If you don't want to put an app on your phone, there's also a web platform, a website you can go to see the same information. Much like Blackboard or Listserv, you didn't have to sign up. If you needed that snow day announcement from Superintendent Howell, you would still receive one in your email, text, call, etc. So you don't have to download the app, but it might be helpful if you choose to do so. So what does Parent Square do? This is a replacement of multiple platforms. It replaces Blackboard and Listserv and PTC Fast, which was the parent-teacher conference platform to sign up for those important appointments in the fall. We can send out these mass notifications, and it has a lot of features. Right now, this year, we're exploring a few, and we'll have some folks dabbling in some of the more advanced features down the road. Couple things to know. Parent Square is in over 48 states in the United States with millions of users. So it's something that the Information Technology Steering Committee that Jody sits in on explored for over a year and a half. Thought deeply about what we could do to streamline our communication efforts and get to one platform. I can tell you already that principals are seeing how user-friendly it is. It definitely has that Facebook kind of look to the layout of the page that I think many people have come quite familiar with. It also syncs with our learner management platform, so Infinite Campus. It pulls that information, so really parents don't have to do anything because whatever email you've put in the system, whatever phone number you have in our system, and every year as you update that information in the spring, Parent Square pulls that. And so we'll have the most recent email and phone contact information that you want us to be using to communicate with you. You can see another couple of features of Parent Square. So if a family wants to receive messages in a language other than English, they have over 100 languages. They can set their preferred language. And this, again, sends out in many different ways. Through the app, if you'd like that, through the web address, email, text, voice, all sorts of options. It also allows the sender, that would be the schools and the district, as we send out notices, we can see who has received the notice, who's read the notice, who's received it. And this helps us just really have a better handle on, are the messages getting out? Are people aware of the news or the update that we're trying to share?
So one of the biggest features for us is communication through Parent Square. This is going to be a way in the long run where we limit the actual pieces of paper that have to come home. That's going to eventually include permission forms. It could even be confidential documents that are legal documents are going to be able to securely be transferred through this app. or web, whichever base you go for their platform. But right now we're using it as Blackboard and Listserv. Blackboard and Listserv you did have to sign up for. This one comes straight out of our student information system. So every contact that we have as a guardian, we're reaching out to, whether they like to hear from us or not. They're getting these messages, whether it's in an email or a text. They can change those preferences, which we're going to show you later on here in just a few minutes. But we know we're making contact with almost 4,000 people each time we send something out. So we would like for you, if you haven't already, to download Parent Square with us. Is there anybody that hasn't? Awesome. All right, so you've already experienced this. You've gotten an email. The email tells you, hey, Wyndham Middle School, Wyndham Primary, Raymond Elementary School, Jordan Small, Wyndham High School would like to invite you to come to Parent Square. So that first email invite that went out, everybody got the invite. You don't have to. You still get the emails. But if you did want to download it, you can go to either the Apple Store or the Google Play Store, and you could download those there. I'm going to navigate through here. So in the app, I would like to point out, since you've already got the app downloaded, I'd like to point out where you can adjust your notification preferences. The reason why this is important is because if you go to the website or if you go to the actual app, this is going to determine how often you get those messages. So in the top left corner, you have what we call the hamburger. It's just 3 lines. That'll take you to a little sub-menu where you'll then go into your account. And inside that account, you'll see preferences. So the hamburger in the upper left, you're looking for your account and then preferences. Any luck? Right, that's the moment we as teachers look for, the aha. So in the notification settings, when you click on that, it's going to ask you, how do you want these notifications? The one that I think I'm signed up for 2 or 3 of them to be immediate. So as soon as that post is made, I get a notification. But I also do the digest. The digest is like at the end of the day, there's a set time. It's going to send you all the messages that came through that school, whether it was from central office to every school or whether it was just to the school that your student is at. It'll send you a summary of that day's post. So, you want to do this one?
Sure.
Go for it.
Okay, so this might look familiar. You would have received, this was a message after the first day that Mr. Gant was talking about, where we ran into some challenges. So we met that evening and sent out a message to let people know we were working on route times and making some adjustments and to please be patient. We won't look at the full message, but you'll notice down here, it's a little small, but you notice I can see that 4,129 families were notified, not families, email addresses received this notice. Staff and parents. 50 people, I'd like to point out, liked this post. I really was very proud of that. But let's drill down a little bit more. So you see that 4,032 folks had this message delivered. So some were bounced back. 2,952 viewed it. That's great. So we can see that people are reading it, viewing it. Maybe they're responding, maybe they're not. Undeliverable. That gives us information about email addresses we need to look into. Why is this person not getting messages? We can really drill down and research some of these things to make sure we're connecting with our families. Sometimes it's as simple as a spelling error in the email address. We noticed instead of .com, it was .cog, C-O-G, changing minor little issues. But this is helpful information for us. So again, message goes out, we can see it was sent, and we can see close to 3,000 people viewed it. So really, going back to Kate's earlier comment about community engagement and our core belief, this was the Information Technology Steering Committee's effort to really think about feedback we'd received and how do we build a higher level of communication and partnership with our families. So Richie's going to talk about our next steps as we go to this next phase of Parent Square.
I did want to address a question that came up during the athletics about Ms. Bicknell sending out her messages. I totally stepped on Marlene's toes this week because this platform is so new to us. If something has gone out on listserv or on Blackboard and I received it, I copied it and I sent it out. I asked the first two people and I did not ask Marlene. So I wound up sending out the same message that she had already sent, caused a little confusion. But Marlene is 100% on board with the Parent Square stuff. They are getting those messages. She's rocking it. Our next step, because we have a lot of features that are not enabled in Parent Square, one of them being direct messaging, where parents can directly communicate with the teachers. This was way too much to do at the beginning of a school year, and the A-team heard it from their teachers, and they wanted to make sure that as we rolled this out, we got everybody comfortable as we go. So we've started off with these blast emails from our post. People are receiving them, people are reading them, people are interacting with them. So the next step for our teachers, which right now they have not had any extra work put on them for Parent Square to be launched. Our next step for teachers is we're going to prepare them to create their parent-teacher conferences, and parents will be signing up through Parent Square, and we're going to help teachers set that stuff up. While we're doing that, we're going to find the people who are fans of Parent Square and are enjoying it and want to know more about it, and we're going to invite them into our pilot program. And our pilot program is going to be those teachers that are going to start exploring what this direct messaging app actually entails, different setup, and then whenever we start to launch that, we'll have a base of teachers in each building that will already have a little bit of experience to go with it. And that's Parent Square in a nutshell, but there's so much more it can do that we're taking baby steps at this time.
Who monitors, like, the hearts? I mean, the data. Well, how does that work?
I think I might have the most likes on that post, Mr. Howell.
I'm delighted that you do.
Appreciations, by the way.
Appreciations, yes. So as we work with administrators, I mean, they can drill down. Some already are. We are. So I think it's in terms of who monitors, we all really, if we're posting, should be monitoring, periodically reflecting on the data, how many people are receiving our messages. There's a lot we can do to go a little deeper than.
So if you have a bad email, is that rectified on the building level, or?
So that's something right now that we're looking at as a post goes out. But to your point, to make sure that it's addressed quickly, I mean, that's something we're working with Bob Hickey on. So we corrected a couple emails that I noticed. It was a pretty easy fix, that dot. It was not cog, whatever it was. So we work with him to correct those as quickly as we can.
I actually thought your question might also be, if there's also a bad post where there's inaccurate information, we can delete a post. And it deletes from everybody's feed at the exact same time. I think one thing that I've appreciated is, first of all, the ease. It's a whole lot easier than Blackboard to generate a message to then go and have that sent out. Also, we have the ability that when I do a post, I can bypass everybody's digest, everybody's feeds, and just make it instantaneous. Or if we were dealing with an emergency situation or closure, there's still the option of the text message, the phone call, as well as a Parent Square post in order to be able to do that. So all those elements can still be integrated in. We still have the ability to do emergency communication, but from a user standpoint, the availability of being able to do a message with some photos and some other pieces to it in a very short period of time has just been nice to do, and it's a super easy platform for people like me to even run and use.
Just a follow-up. I noticed a mention about a post that you made on Parent Square about the heat. And I saw it on social media, but it did not appear. I didn't get it for hours, and then finally it popped up on my phone. And maybe, you know me in tech, but
Yes, so Ms. Brooks, the notifications settings I'd like to look at on yours. So what Richie was speaking about earlier, it might be how yours is set up, so we can look at it.
As if I set it up. Okay.
But that's helpful information that we'll want to look into.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll look into that.
I have a question, if that's okay. I had a community member ask me about how they could get this, even though they don't have a student any longer in the district. They had volunteered and want to be involved and want to know what's going on. So what's the process for that?
That's a great question, because this is really meant for anyone in the community. We have been adding some folks based on requests. So those have gone to Bob Hickey, and he, on the back end, has added in some additional email addresses. And we can look into that more, Jenny. Thank you. That's a good point. And perhaps get that message out on the website so people know how they can be added.
It's actually, Jenny, a question I had because all of our local media, as well as our both council and select board, also were receiving everything that was on our listserv as well. So that was actually one of my questions about how do we get those folks included, because I mean that's often how our radio and TV stations contact us about news stories, because we've sent a letter out to parents.
And Terry Coolidge, who sends out the board agendas, made sure that she included the different individuals who need it, who aren't part of the school system. So we can, rather than just add them individually, we can, on the back end, make sure they're getting messages regularly.
Any other questions?
Okay.
That's pretty slick. I'm pretty
impressive.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we haven't even started diving into it, but there was a request at the high school for admin to be able to contact specific students based on you haven't turned in your whatever fund money so that you can do whatever it is that you have to do. They wanted to be able to go through that list and uncheck students as they are relieved of that duty or whatever it is that they were lacking. So there's also a student side to Parent Square that we have not even explored yet. So we're really just trying broad community, guardians, and then we're going to keep moving up.
Well, thank you. I think we might all agree that communication with parents, students, staff is paramount, and we never can do enough work communicating, and this sounds like a really great step to being more efficient and having people have options. So thank you for the work. Appreciate it. Item 14, appointments. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the following appointments for the 2023-2024 school year. Dennis Goyette, math teacher, Wyndham Middle School, BA 0, $43,839.92. Eliza Halbig, grade 1, teacher, 1 year only, Wyndham Primary School, BA 3, $48,010.50. Sean Maines, alternative ed teacher, Wyndham Middle School, BA 0, $43,839.92. Kaylee Petros, instructional leader, Wyndham Primary School, MA 9, $60,481.02. Cameron Blood, Eagle Block teacher, Wyndham High School, BA 4, $48,455.15.
Second.
Thank you. Any board discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Item number 15, please.
I move to support the proposed MSBA resolutions at the annual October meeting.
Second.
Board discussion? I'd like to thank Jessica for, it's a bit of a time commitment, and I appreciate you stepping up to do that, and I think you're all set. I think the meeting's coming up. Perfect. Any board discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Report of the secretary.
I move to approve the minutes of the August 16th, 2023 meeting.
Second.
Any board discussion? All those in favor? Was that unanimous? Is there anybody? Okay. Okay, great. And last but not least.
I move to adjourn the regular meeting.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.